is like 6 years ago.
Is that so? Well, because in the present moment, we just happen to be live
Okay.
on Out of the Box. And just to let you know what happened, I know we kind of jumped in abruptly.
Yeah, I like how you just started that in there, guy.
Well, you know, we were here, the moment was right.
But this is Out the Box, so we do out the box stuff.
What's up? How you doing? I am Donald McKinney.
And I am Westerfield Tolbert with the Mind of Valor.
Yes.
Yes, and today is a great, amazing day. This is Out the Box, and you know how we do on Out the Box. If we love for you to like the channel. Please give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? And please feel free to leave comments, whatever's on y'all lovely, amazing minds. We'll get back to you.
Yes, please do, because it's really the feedback that you all give us that allows us the space and opportunity to grow and refine our mission. Like, we're already going to be out of the box. We're going to come to you with unconventional subject matter and topics. We're going to pull it out of the ether. It's going to be things that may be countercultural and may be, it's going to be unpredictable.
Speaking of unpredictable, today's episode is specifically geared towards one of those unpredictable or predictable situations that you may have control of. And we're talking about sex before marriage. Drum roll, please.
Sex before marriage. Now, how did we get here?
Oh my goodness.
Well, from personal experience. I would have to say personal experience for me.
We done learned a thing or two in the process along the way.
Yes, I concur on that. I have had 5 children out of wedlock. So if anybody
I have two.
If anybody has experience on having children out of wedlock, it would be me and this guy right here. So,
and I think it's important that I'm just going to put this out here in the beginning. This will not be a woman bashing episode. We're not going to be out here shaming people. We're not going to be out here throwing the mothers of our children under the bus. None of that. That is not the purpose of this episode. The purpose of this episode is to dive into the lessons that we've learned that we hope we can impart to some other young man or woman who might benefit from the reasons that we feel, after having gone through all the experiences that we have, why it's important to wait.
Man, bump these chickens, man. No, I'm just playing. I'm just teasing. I'm just cheesing. You're correct, man. You're 200% correct, man. Really, today's episode, I definitely want to get into the melancholy, I guess, of, when to have sex. And, one of the main reasons I wanted to have this episode today, we wanted to have this episode today, was because, is it hard or is it easy? Is it hard? Like, we're all sexual creatures. And I know me as a man, my ego needs or loves to have a female, a female stroking my ego, or in a sense, if I'm saying that in the right way.
Is it a matter of validation? What is it?
Well, I love women. I love their energy. I love their smell. I love their sizes. I love their softness. Me being a man, I'm hard. You know what I'm saying? I'm rugged, and I try to, get out of, the everyday mundane, renaissance man, and trying to understand my emotions better in my age demographic and age. But with women, I guess that's something that's universal, a man and woman, positive, negative, masculine, feminine, it just goes together, and I think that when you talk about, having sex or not having sex before marriage, the situation becomes taboo because, people love to have sex, but talking back and going back to my younger self, I definitely would recommend not having sex before marriage or becoming financially stable. Which one is it? Do you want to put that caveat in there and add to that? Because financial stability is one good thing, but I think that you could possibly stand to even get divorced if you don't understand the sex. Well, think about it like this. If you've never had sex and then you get with the woman sexually, like, you don't really know what to expect. So, I think you might degrade yourself having sex before marriage, because it's almost like you get turned out. It's like, I'm hitting this.
That's exactly what it is. It's not just a physical turning out, it's a spiritual turning out. Because in reality, once the cat's out the bag, there's no turning back. Once you once you have the smell in your memory banks, it's very difficult to dial. You can't dial it back. That muscle memory, it does something to a man, does something to a woman too. That's why if you've had sex one time and it was a decent experience, likely you're gonna try to have it again.
Well, even so, going even a little bit deeper, that female that puts it on you, I'm talking about like slurping you up, getting the balls and the dick together, and she does it perfectly how you like it. But then you get with the woman who, y'all may be, spiritually compatible, but she don't give head.
Yeah.
So you miss, and it's like, wow, like, can I really be with this woman? Cause if she ain't gonna never suck my dick again, like, it be things like that. Like you, and then vice versa on a woman. You might have a guy, man, dick hitting the flow, and I'm talking about he know how to work that motherfucking pole, and he's putting it on you. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, he's pressuring you, hitting that spot just right, and then you get with your husband, or you get with another guy who you're more spiritually compatible with, but he got a small, he ain't got a baseball bat. He got a chopstick.
The way you want him to.
He got a chopstick. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got the baseball bat. He got the chopsticks. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the way we have to really paint the picture for people. Like, once you have put these grooves in your memory banks and created this space in time, it's very difficult to dial it back. And like back when we were kids, like kind of like the don't do drugs is just say no, because once you've tried something, once you've opened yourself up to something, it is very difficult to just pull that back, and to reel back in that energy. Like I said, the example I use, once the smell is on your fingertips, it's really difficult to leave that alone. And what happens is, for both young men and young women who are way too immature to really be having these type of relationships, once they have them, then they have to force themselves to be in a mature mindset, right? But no one's having these authentic conversations with young people about sex and the dangers of sex. You can't just be like, oh, just say no, in a world where sex is coming at them from every angle constantly, right? The pressure is constantly being bombarded on, whether it be social media, just television. Back when I was a kid, when we were kids, like, it was almost unheard of to see sex on TV. You had to be watching Showtime or HBO or something after dark. Nowadays, it's like sex is constantly in front of the people's faces.
Well, I have to disagree with you on that. And it's crazy, but I think that it goes back to even before we were born. We're both 80s babies.
Yes.
And I can remember my grandparents saying about the clothing we were wearing. They always would be so turned off by the clothing and the styles that we were wearing. They would be like, you're too over-sexualized. And I didn't understand it, but looking back at it, even in our music, I mean, I love this producer I'm getting ready to speak on. And I don't care what charges he has, and I don't condone what he done, if the charges was true, whether or not they true or not. R. Kelly.
Okay.
R. Kelly made songs, 12 play. I mean, he made songs. What's that song?
R. Kelly was also the victim of molestation.
Seems Like You're Ready. Seems like you're ready.
He was the byproduct of sexual trauma. We're hearing his sexual trauma amplified over the airwaves.
To go all what can you say to that? Way. So I'm saying, like, you have Aaliyah's 4-page letter. I'm sending you a 4-page letter. Age ain't nothing but a number. Getting down ain't nothing but a thing. These are songs that I was raised on, okay? And then I look at, the gangster rap, and I look at the culture that I was in, and even the music. I mean, you had My Sweet 16, with girls that were, 16 and pregnant. Like, you had all these different shows and stuff that were kind of gearing us and setting us up to be over-sexualized. I even go back and look at some of the cartoons, and I was like, yeah, this was totally
Pepe Le Pew and
introducing me and setting me up and making me ready for situations that I was not prepared for, right?
So we were exposed to it, but it wasn't sold to us at the scale that it is sold to us today.
Oh, it's oversaturated. We live in an oversaturated sexual market to the point to where you now make money. You now make money off of sex. And I even have been approached by females that are underage that are totally not. I'm old enough to be these girls' daddies, and they're approaching at me, hollering at me like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know what I'm saying? And I had
Totally
to really be like,
unacceptable.
"Wait a minute. Like, how old are you? Like, can I see some ID?" Because first of all, I'm not about having sex with nobody's daughter. You know what I'm saying? Because I've grown and I've learned. But when I was under 8, when I was a younger male, I would engage in situations not with underage children first of all, but I would have sex out of wedlock, and that's where I'm going at with this is why are we so sexualized, even being children, because they don't have the mind to really control and understand fully what they're doing.
Even many adults don't have the emotional maturity to really be sleeping around and dragging these spiritual connections to their bouncing from partner to partner.
And I think that goes and carries on to as you're and when you're an adult. But as a child, for instance, how old were you when you first had sex?
Dare I say, I don't remember. I was in my early teens.
15. I was 15.
About 15,
I'll never
14.
forget it. I was a freshman in high school. I won't say the young lady's name, but she actually invited me over. I was dating her at the time, and she's like, "Hey, my mom's going to be, staying at work a little bit later. She, you won't be home till about 7:38. I got out of school at 2:20. So she was like, you can come straight over after school. We're going to do our thing. And then you have to be gone by 4:30 because she might get off early at 5. Her regular schedule was to get home about 5:30. So she was like, as long as you're gone by 4, you'll be good. You know what I'm saying? That'll give us more than enough time to do our thing, right?
And she approached you with this.
Yes, she approached me.
But you see, like, when you tell me something like that, it makes me wonder who first approached her and taught her the game, or quote unquote the game, for her to even approach you with that information, right? To know how to invite you over, to get around the safeguards of her mother being there.
If I'm being all honest, I was not even thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? I was at the time.
At that age, you're not thinking about
exactly.
it.
At the time, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting ready to have sex. Oh my gosh, this is my first time. I'm even asking my older cousins, what should I do? You know what I'm saying? How should I do this? Blah, 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 blah. And, I guess the biggest thing is, trying to be an adult, right? But after you move past that, right? Because, I want my children. I don't want my children. Now that I have children, I don't want my, 17-year-old son, you know what I'm saying? My 15-year-old daughter. I don't want them having sex. I constantly are telling them, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. And the reason why is because I know that they're not financially stable. Right. I know that they're not mentally stable, emotionally stable, and they're physically still growing, and I don't want that for them.
Exactly.
But I didn't have that parental guidance. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, and even if people who do,
I'm sure someone told you not to have sex.
Well, they did, but I still engaged in it because I was trying to be grown. I wanted to feel, and then after I had sex, and I had my first orgasm from having sex. Oh man,
Changed your whole. I remember that more than anything else. I literally felt my brain rewire in that very instant.
Totally.
And that is something, look, we're talking about premarital sex, right? And we're trying to break it down to, like, why men shouldn't do it, especially young men. And even masturbation goes hand in hand with that because the act leads to another act, right? It's like, it's what they say, like a gateway drug, right? Once you have a certain experience, you want more of it. That rush of endorphins to the brain and all that stuff. You're like, this is something that I need to have more of, and it can become addictive. So you have the potential to become addicted to something that's how young men and young women become hoes before they even understand what sex is.
Yes.
Before they even truly understand their bodies, they are addicted to a grown adult act.
And if I'm being all the way honest, I think that it's starting because I don't want to bash children because children are children. You know what I'm saying?
Children are innocent,
and they don't have even the mental capacity. I didn't have the mental capacity when I started out as a child having sex, right? Underage. But I don't want to bash children, but because once again we're a product of our environment, and I think that when you come and you start having sex as a child underage and that carries over to you being an adult, I think that's why it's so easy for adults to continuously keep having sex outside of marriage. Like, that's why I feel like it's so important and I teach my children, wait till you get married. Wait, and I really push other children. I push my community of young adults and specifically young adults, because I think that is really the target point is when you get about high school age, you know what I'm saying, high school age, middle schoolers, and it's sad because we have middle schoolers out here that are engaging in sex, you know what I'm saying, activities and stuff like that, which is horrible. High schoolers engaging in it is horrible. But trying to change the narrative and get a better understanding on why, we should be breaking that cycle, because I think when children see positive society role models and we see people that are getting married and engaging in loving relationships first, because marriage is something that is a sanctified relationship between a man and a woman that should be upheld, I believe. It
should be respected.
It should be respected and honored. And when you engage and cooperate with sex, it's so much more to marriage than just sex. Like, let me ask you this. What is marriage to you? Because we're telling people anybody listening to this, you shouldn't be having sex before marriage, right? But to the people who already got children, to the people who are already engaging in sex, like, I don't expect you to stop, having, sex with people, but for you, and it's just me asking you personally, what is marriage to you, and why do you think that it's a sanctified relationship between a man and a woman?
Well, marriage
that should be respected
is a deeply committed connection between two people that they have chosen to display for their community, ask God to bless, and to honor one another. They've gone through a process of putting the message out to their family and their friends that I am for this person and this person is for me, and community receive us as now one person, right? So marriage is the two people becoming one. That's what really marriage is. You gotta sign contracts and licenses, but you can be in a committed monogamous relationship and not be married, and it pretty much be the equivalent of marriage. Marriage is that contractual side of it also that lets institutions know to recognize you two as one body, one mind, one heart, one flesh, right? And so we got a caller coming in. No, I'm just kidding. Forgot to put the phone on ring or on silent. But why we as men should wait for marriage, coming from the experience of someone who did not wait, one of the reasons are we're not emotionally mature enough to handle that level of commitment. We have not fully developed our personalities and our characters to understand the implications of having that type of intimate relationship with somebody else. I believe that with every partner that we have, we spew or we connect spiritually to them, and then also we connect spiritually to the partners that they've been with. Regardless of how you feel about it, if I sleep with person X, there's a little bit of everyone that they've been with, but prior to me, whether they've been attached to their personality, a bit of their character, or just the physical. Not even to get into like the diseases and STDs and stuff that are following people around. That's a whole nother subject. Another good reason why people should be not having sex or wrapping it up at the minimum. For me, if I could go back, I would wait. I would wholeheartedly wait, just so I can
me too.
Take that energy and put it into one person, one union that I know will be sustained for the long haul.
Facts, because not that I don't love my children, that I do have, but the main thing is that
patience.
What is the negative about having sex out of marriage? Because I haven't been able
dilute your essence, man. Well, too much sex will dilute your essence. You will physically be drained. First of all, like people don't the blood rushes away from your brain, right, to your genitals.
Well, let me ask you this, because I understand that. Okay. Point about busting. I understand that.
The physiological.
I understand that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Semen retention. I think that's what you're kind of hitting at, is semen retention, right? But I want to point something out, because when we say we no sex before marriage, like I want to give our audience and our viewers like a reason why marriage is hype up. Like, let's hype this marriage thing up, right? Okay, like, yeah, marriage is a good thing, and these are the great points of marriage, right? But you have so many people being divorced. Like, why is so many people getting divorced? Is marriage such a good thing, right?
So many people are getting divorced because they're bringing too much spiritual attachment from other relationships and other partners into their marriage.
Snap.
It's not sanctified ground anymore. You tell me, I'm marrying you and the 10 people that you've been with, and then the 20 people that they've been with.
Well, it's a badge of honor for men. I mean, for us as men, if a female knows that I've been with 20 women and she knows a lot of those women, and if I got good dick, that women will tell other women about good dick. Like, hey, girl, he got
so you're like the
dick,
trophy.
He's girl, fuck him, girl. Like, women will send other women your way based on, and this has happened to me in personal experience. You know what I'm saying? Because
so women try to conquer you to be like, I conquered this.
No, not even conquered. Like, no, I've had a piece of that girl, and girl, he fucked the shit out of me, girl. Like, and they'll talk about this stuff. Like, they talk about men with good dick.
Ladies, leave that in the comments. Y'all do that?
Please. We'll
talk about that.
Well, from personal experience, I know that they do, and but if you reverse that, it's a badge of honor for a man to have sex with a whole bunch of women in a certain sense. Where if a woman has a lot of bodies, men, we kind of look down on that and be like, oh, she's a hoe, or like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, because nigga, yeah, she's ran. We call it being ran through. But men, we don't look at it as being ran through if we've had sex with a lot of women. So that's why when you say the sexual essence and the energy that goes along with it, I think that, it goes both ways. But it's like this. You ever heard that saying of, women are locks and men are keys?
Yes.
So a man, we can unlock, to be able to unlock a lock is a powerful thing. To be able to have a woman that wants you to unlock them and be happy, it's called a universal key. I got a universal key, right? Versus a woman,
skeleton key.
Only one type of key should fit into that lock, right? So I think, when you...
Well, let me ask you this question. For a woman, and women will have to answer this, of course, without trying multiple keys, how will they know which one fits the lock?
Well, once again, do you wait till marriage? That is the big question, and that's the big thing. Is like, because...
So we're asking women to wait till marriage to test the key to make sure it fits at the point of marriage?
Well, I mean, this is what I'm trying to understand on why do you want to wait to marriage? Because we put this big emphasis on marriage. But then when you start having kids... don't have sex before marriage. But when you start having children, that adds that extra layer of the broken home syndrome is what I call it, because we have a lot of people that are
touched on the children aspect of it.
Well, I mean, that usually is the biggest thing, because sex being a procreation, Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those believers that there's two reasons why a man should have sex with a woman. The number one reason should be for procreation. The second reason should be for pleasure.
What's more important?
Oh, procreation, of course. But when you add in the factors of understanding, because, for instance, that's what I was doing. I put pleasure before procreation. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't fully understand that, hey, what I'm doing is I can create life. Like, I have a magic wand between my legs, you know what I'm saying, that gives a woman life and gives life. And the woman carries that life and brings it 9 months to fruition, and boom. But you have men that keep doing this out of wedlock, and we say, oh, get married. But culturally, is that the appropriate thing to do? Like, what type of woman, in your personal opinion, should a young male, or what type of man well, we'll just leave it for right now because you're a man. What type of woman would you want your sons to marry? And what type of woman should you marry?
Well,
because we're saying
it's complex.
We're saying, hey, no sex before marriage. Okay, yeah. So to that young, I'm that young guy who's like, I've never had sex. I'm a virgin. I'm 18-year-old, getting ready going to college. What type of woman should I be looking for?
You shouldn't be looking at all. You a young man. You about to go into college. If you're gonna be dating at all, it should be just courting. You're getting to know women. You're getting to know characters. You're getting to know personalities. At that age, you don't even fundamentally understand how the background or the home that a woman comes from, and vice versa, how that affects that person's personality. You know what I'm saying? You haven't even gotten to how their traumas or life experiences will affect how they treat you and how they communicate with you. You don't know any of these stuff. You're really too naive. At that point, all you're thinking is, I have to do something to consummate this relationship or to solidify that I care about you. And it's like, no, sex doesn't have to be the way that I show you that I care about you the most. There's got to be another way. Like, if I care about you and I love you, come work out with me every day. Come to what is that? That shows you that I care about you, right? If you could train with me every day, I'm just hypothetically like, what is that thing that's just outside of sex that can show someone, I'm gonna cook for you every day, right? I'm gonna do something to sew into you. I don't have to just exploit your body in the process. I have my body exploited in the process too, because what happens is, and especially in these younger relationships, they're having these this intercourse, but there's no long-term plan to be with this person. There's no long-term plan to grow together, to get to know anyone past that
and
point.
These are the questions that you should be coming up with and you should be thinking about as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old young male that is now coming into your adulthood before you even have sex.
Exactly.
Hence why you want to try to get to know a woman first, because, if you don't actually ask those questions, if you're not putting your best foot forward, I would say.
But honestly, like,
creating boundaries,
the questions
right?
that we're asking at 16, 17, 18, 19, these questions aren't even on the tongues of most young males because they don't have mentors or models who are breaking it down for them to the granular level and telling them all the reasons that they shouldn't. The majority of men are just celebrating the sexual acts. Oh man, you got that. You hit. No.
Well, it feels good. I mean,
Yeah,
let's be honest.
It feels good.
You take that 18-year-old who's, he's for high school, he's straight up going into college, and he's a college recruit. He's the star freshman on the team. Like, this guy's good. He's around cheerleader. He's around dance team girls. He's around all of these different type of influences, man, and women, when they want you, it's hard for you to be able to say no. I mean, I'm just being all the way honest from personal experience. As a person that loves the female body, I'm an ass man. I love me a good pair of tits too, but I mean, I love a good gluteus maximus, man.
Right.
And I ain't gonna lie, man. When a woman walks by with an itty bitty waist and a big butt in your face, you get sprung. Shouts out to Heavy D, man. Like, it's just tantalizing, man. The female body, man, is just amazing, and it's hard to tell a hormonal 18-year-old.
Peak testosterone.
That is literally and then you put him around a space where he has free reign, and then vice versa. You put these young girls, and I mean, he's 6'3", 205, 210, muscle bound, testosterone high. Then you get her, she's in her feminine, body perfect, banging, booming, and you put these people around each other and you tell them to save themselves for marriage, right? Okay, let's say they get married. Do we condone them getting divorced after they find out that they're not sexually compatible? What if they're not sexually compatible? But how do they even know? How do they even know if they're sexually compatible if they're not engaging in sex before marriage, right?
Because, like, here's the thing. If you're courting properly and asking the proper questions and getting the proper information about a person, you're learning about them, you will soon come to realize that, yes, there's the whole lock and key example that you gave, but you can develop a sexual attraction over time if there's an emotional attraction that is genuine and authentic. When it's on that level, when you actually like a person, you will go out of your way to learn how to please them. But we're putting the cart before the horse. We're trying to please someone before even learning how to sustain the relationship. And that's part of the problem. We're so anxious to it's lazy. It's lazy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because sex is easy. Doing the emotional work, that requires to ask people questions, get to know people, take time, and courting, all that stuff takes time, it takes effort, it takes thought and consideration. And we're just lazy. We're like, sex is easy, sex is fast, it's fast food.
No, you're 200% correct, and I agree with that statement because if you can't wait. And this is to all our young listeners, you know what I'm saying? And even people, you know what I'm saying, that's older, you know what I'm saying, who might, you know what I'm saying, want to know, you know what I'm saying, and have questions about should they continue to keep
engaging in sex. Yeah, you should be having these questions with your kids and your grandkids and nieces and nephews.
If you can't wait, just wait. Take the time out to learn the person that you're dealing with, get to know that person without sex, and being able to build a relationship with that person even before sex. And I think that is what really strengthens the bonds with a person, because when you can show what is called, I say sexual maturity, or maturity in the areas of being able to preserve your sexual energy enough to not share it with the person until you know that this is the person that I want to have sex with. Like you said, I want to be married to. It's easy to have sex, you know what I'm saying, and go out here and just have random sex with people, but it's hard to actually, be mature and fortify your emotions and keep yourself celibate until you get to know a person. But I think when you do that, that's what you do. You kind of weed out the good from the bad. You
do weed out the good from the bad. And I think that
and there's people that want to stick around, right? People that's going to stick around, somebody that you actually want to keep around. When I say weed out the good from the bad.
Yeah, and it's just something that we must nurture and take the time and be patient with. And with that, there's something that I did want to say before we wrap up. One of the main reasons that we wanted to have this conversation, even in the vulgar nature that we've had it today, is because we want to remove the stigma around having these conversations, right? People need to be open and honest and having these conversations with our young men and our young women. If not, they will go into the dark corners and try to hide. And it is much more difficult to protect our young people if they are hiding and doing these things in secret, where I don't even know if they teach these things in health class anymore, or what they're even teaching these kids in health class. But I know that if we allow them to hide and do this stuff, it's going to be much worse for future generations. And then one more thing, on our last episode, we did talk about how on a future episode, we did want to talk about how the media and the television shows that we grew up with, how it affected us and the lessons that we learned from our, from the media and the Cosby Show and the Jeffersons and different things like that. And on this particular day, I just wanted to drop a moment of silence because one of our childhood figures who we grew up with on television, Malcolm Jamal Warner of the Cosby Show,
man.
Theo, as we all grew up with him, was age 54, and he's no longer with us as of today.
Yeah, so we definitely want to send a shout out, you know what I'm saying, and a RIP, you know what I'm saying, condolences to him and his family, you know what I'm saying, just praying for his family right now, and that they get clarity on that situation. And yeah, definitely grew up, you know what I'm saying, he's like a big brother, you know what I'm saying, to older uncle, you know what I'm saying, type figure, you know what I'm saying, for me growing up with Theo. So definitely, you know what I'm saying, want to send the rest in, you know what I'm saying, power to Malcolm Jamal Warner. And with that being said, this has been another great topic, you know what I'm saying. Please, you know what I'm saying, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, you know what I'm saying. Please leave us some comments. My name is Donald McKinney, founder and CEO of FamilyBible.io.
And my name is Westerfield Tolbert with A Mind of Valor. Please let us continue this conversation in the comment section. If you got any questions, filter them back in for future episodes. But really, we got to start this conversation. We can't have this conversation be one that is taboo, because what is done in the darkness will eventually come to the light.
Always. And one of my favorite saying is, well, no, I'll leave it for another episode.
You sure?
Yeah, positive.
All right. This is Out of the Box.